Hey guys, so I am Ananya. I am an ambassador for NAMI. It's a pleasure to be on with Kimberly Dawn today. As we know, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we are here to have a chat, about our own journey with mental health, how music has helped us with our mental health, how this pandemic has affected us, and just really honest conversation, right, Kimberly, about, what this journey has been all about and how important mental health is to us and how important it is for us to break the stigma around mental health, because it's so bad, really.
Absolutely. It's really, I think that's what's so important is to break that stigma about mental health. I think a lot of people view it as a negative thing and people don't want to talk about it. And I think, if anything, in this past year, I think mental health has really been brought to the forefront. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. Currently, India is suffering massively. I'm sure you've sort of, it's all over the news, and it's so sad to see the suffering, but it's so evident how people are suffering so much emotionally and mentally. And it sort of reiterated to me all over again how important and how grateful I feel for having this rock in music, where something that I can always turn to, because many people haven't found that I don't have that. And I've also realized how important it is to have a strong social environment, because social distancing and being in quarantine has really affected many people. So I think, I feel very grateful and lucky that we have music as our companion. Um, and it's really personally helped me get through a lot of, relatively tough times for myself in 2020 and also beginning of 2021.
I agree with you,
Yeah.
especially with everything shutting down so quickly last year. And I think at first, when it first happened, I had just finished recording my album in Nashville, and I had all this stuff planned, and all of a sudden everything got shut down. And I kind of was at a standstill and I didn't know what to do because I
Yeah.
was going. And all of a sudden, you're now to stay at home. You're not allowed to see people. It was like a whole, like, honestly, it felt like my world kind of crumbled. And I had to kind of regroup. And I'll tell you, it took me a few weeks to really try to get myself into a space of like, it's going to be okay, regroup. This is going to all get figured out. And, thankfully, I do have music. Music is therapy for me, as it is like for most artists. I think, anybody who writes songs or, um, especially writing, I would say, especially for writing, because for me, being able to write really helps me to be able to deal with things that are going on in my life. Or even I write songs about stories about friends or family that they've struggled with, right?
Absolutely. I think songwriting is a very cathartic process for me. It's a very selfish process for me, actually. Like you said, it's so cool you said that, because I totally relate. It can be about how sad I feel today, or how sunny it is outside, or a story I heard from my mom about something.
Mhm.
Really anything, like you said, and it really helps me with my mental health. It's very cathartic to sort of write it down, even because then it's not such a it doesn't feel like a monster or a demon within you with all of these thoughts and um or so much anxiety around so many different things. But to go back to what you said before, I totally understand that feeling of everything crumbling. And I felt very similarly, especially actually a couple months ago. I think finally 2021 has been tougher for me than 2020. It's just been a series of events that have happened. And there was a period, I would say a couple of months ago, where I was literally taking it one day at a time. I just couldn't deal with more than one day. Especially in this industry, there's so much, we have to tour and there are deadlines, with when the album has to drop, we need to shoot the music video, there's so much that I've always had a very set schedule and routine for myself, which completely went, out of the window, because everything was so uncertain, everything got canceled. So yeah, I totally relate with what you're saying, and I think taking it one day at a time really personally helped me. It just didn't seem like that much of uh, a roller coaster, if that makes sense.
Yeah, listen, I
Yeah,
totally understand what you're saying with that because as the world's opening up right now, I'm struggling to like just jump back in and go back to the way it was before because I had a fast life was very fast paced. Go, go,
absolutely.
go, go. And now it's like I'm taking that time and I do have to take it one day at a time because I still have days and I'm going to be honest because last year um there was a series of things that happened last year that I think really triggered a lot of things that I've
Yeah,
gone through in my past.
I
And
totally get that. Yeah,
okay, so and I actually yesterday I had I just had this lull, this sadness that kind of like fell on me yesterday, and I was like, why am I feeling like this? I'm happy, life is good, but I still have those moments where it's like something just triggers me and all of a sudden I'm just feeling really down. And it takes a lot for me to get out of that. Like I have to really like that's when I kind of need to be left alone. I need to just kind of deal with my thoughts and feel my feelings. And last year, like I said, it really triggered a lot of things that have happened in my past that I knew that I needed to deal with. And so I think that's why even right now, I'm still kind of like, okay, one day at a time. Um, last year I had my best friend's 3-year-old daughter passed away from cancer. So
oh,
that was like the first, obviously the pandemic hit, but then it was like, then you can't see anybody. Then it was like, that was extremely stressful because she passed away within 6 weeks of being diagnosed with a very, very rare cancer.
sorry.
And I was already just emotionally dealing with that when Stevie got sick. And then she passed away. And you couldn't go to the funeral because they weren't letting anyone, so it was like all this stuff that it was like, and then I'm trying to be strong because people see me as she's well put together, she's strong. And so I really struggled with, I felt like I couldn't show my emotions publicly to everybody. It was more like at home, crying, having a hard time getting out of bed, really dealing with this and not feeling like I really had anyone to talk to because I felt ashamed of how sad I was because I wanted to be like the light for everybody. I wanted to be happy. I felt like it was hard. And then I got COVID shortly
Yeah,
after that in July of last year, and I lost my smell. So the only
yeah,
thing that happened with me is I lost my smell. And I still, you guys, 10 months later, I still don't have my smell back. So
yeah,
I'm still dealing with that part of it. And so all these things together just have brought up a lot of things from my past that I am working on right now, dealing with right now. So I always tell people, someone can look all well put together from the outside, but we're all broken inside in some way, shape, or form. And everybody needs to just, and I think that's where the stigma of mental health comes in. And people need to understand there's nothing to be ashamed of. Everybody is going through stuff. Everybody is. And sometimes it takes us a little bit longer to deal with those things. Like I said, I'm dealing with a lot of things right now in a healthy way. And I think more now with being able to share these things with people
yeah,
um, in hopes that I can help others.
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that story. It's I feel like this is meant to be because my grandma passed away. Not to sound morbid, but just to sort of like that it's been a really uh tough time for me as well, and I relate with everything you're saying. So my grandma passed away earlier this year, and it was really tough. Again, she was at home because we couldn't take her to the hospital because of
Mhm.
COVID, and she didn't want to go, and we would have to put her in the COVID ward where no one could see her, and so literally, seeing life just suddenly go away from her, and it was just very, and then it wasn't a normal funeral, and it was just very traumatic, and I was very, very close with her, and in 2020 I was away from home because the pandemic happened, and I was in LA, writing my album and dropping singles and following my dream, and then airspace is shut, so I couldn't go back. And she would always say, like in Hindi, ki kab aayegi, which means like, when are you gonna come meet me? Uh, and that just, it just keeps looping in my head, because I was like, I wish I could have just spent a little bit more time with her. So that was a tough phase for me. I know she's still with me, and I'm sure, Stevie's still with you, and everything, it's just how it happens. And then after that, I went to Nashville. I I actually left in the next 2 days of my grandma passing on, because my mom said that she would want you to follow your dreams and do this. So there was a lot of guilt that I felt as well. Came to Nashville. There was a snowstorm, like I told you, so all my sessions got pushed. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should stay back home with everyone. And then I got COVID. And I am the same as you. I don't have my taste back yet. So it kind of comes and goes. I had high fever, horrible body ache, and just being isolated in one room because I was the only one who got it was um, was a little bit traumatic. And then the stuff that you mentioned about the past, I had a really weird experience while flying, and that left me with a lot of PTSD. And like in this industry, especially right now, flying has just become really stressful. So I have been, and but I'm very ambitious, and I want to achieve all of these things, and I want to make the world a better place, and I want to build this voice for myself. Exactly what you said. So I've been driving across the country because I can't get on a flight. So I drove. So I drove from. I was in Jersey riding with someone. So I drove from Jersey to Nashville, which is about 21 hours, and then I drove from Nashville to LA, which was about 31 hours. So I've just literally been driving because I can't take a flight. So I totally get what you're saying. It's been a very tough year for everyone, really. And to end this this spiel of mine, uh, the thing of being put together, it's such an issue, because especially with like social media, like you look at my page and you're like, oh my god, like she has it all together, like it seems like, oh, she's on the cover of Vogue India, like super grateful, but that doesn't mean that someone is not suffering from within. But on another level, I have this conflict within me, because I'm like, I look at the news and there's so many people who are way worse. I feel like I have it so much better, and I'm so grateful, and God and the universe has been so lucky. So it's almost like an element of guilt for feeling the suffering, which is kind of like a layer on the top. It's like an icing almost on the top. So I guess the good thing is that I'm aware of how I feel on a daily basis. And music has really helped me. I've been playing the drums, I've been writing. This album has surely been the most honest that I've ever written. It's been my best work so far, if I'm allowed to say so. And I'm really excited for the world to listen to it. And I'm sure that a lot of good is going to come out of this phase that we all have had. Um, and yeah, one thing I would like to say to everyone watching this, especially after hearing your story and me telling a little bit about mine, is just never judge a book by its cover. Because
Amen to that.
yeah, like we all suffer from something or the other. Everything is so relative. You just never know what someone is going through, and hence it's so important. Just be kind and spread love. You just really never ever know what someone is going through.
I
Um,
agree with you on that.
so
That's, and
yeah,
you know what you said about the guilt that you feel at times with how you're feeling? I feel the same way, but this is what someone said this to me one time. Everything is relative to what someone's going through.
exactly.
So I truly believe that God does not give us anything we can't handle. So you may look at your situation and see something on the news and you think that's far worse than yours. And maybe it is, but what you're going through, maybe that person, God didn't give them that to deal with because he knew they would not be able to handle it.
Yeah,
So I feel like, our feelings are our feelings. And I think you have to, sit in those feelings. Um,
Totally.
you know, I learned last year, especially, like, I can't keep my feelings inside. My feelings are real, and what I was going through was real, and it did bring out a lot of things from my past. And one of the things that I want to share with you is, you know, I have a song that's coming out, a single that's dropping tonight called "The
Oh, wow.
Bottle."
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the song's about addiction, and it was a song that I put on my album, but I wasn't even planning on releasing it as a single. And it kind of was pulling at me to release it. Like, it was just kind of one of those things. And I'm like, you know what, this song, I need to release it because, one, I think a lot of people will relate to it. But
Totally.
secondly, I've never openly shared this, but that song was really about me. I had, and I've had to deal with a lot of the stuff that that song has brought up with me in this past year, because I felt a lot of shame with it. I started drinking at a very young age. I was 12 years old the first time I drank. And I had a hard time stopping. I had a hard time quitting. And I think I was afraid and ashamed to really talk about it. And I want to share with people that, you know what, you're not alone in what you're dealing with. And there's always help out there, and you should never feel ashamed. And don't be afraid to share it and talk about it. And I felt like, you know what, I need to openly talk about this with everybody and share it. And, because most people will look at me and they know I don't drink, and I just say I choose not to, which I do. I choose not to, but I choose not to because I'm not going to go down that road again where I know it's not a good place for me. And I don't,
Wow.
so um, I think, like I said, this past year, it's really brought up a lot of things from my past that I knew that I needed to deal with. And I spoke with my sister actually this morning, and I was talking to her about it because she, out of anyone, obviously my husband and I have talked about, and he's aware of it, but my sister was like, I'm really proud of you for sharing it, because I have felt a lot of shame with it, and a lot of, are people going to judge me? What are people going to say? I'm supposed to be so, everything's great in my life. But you know what? I have my own demons too. And I've struggled, and I do struggle. And honestly, I see alcohol, and is there a part of me that at times I really want to have a drink and I want to drink? I'm not going to lie. Yeah, there is. And especially this past year where things were just really hard, um, I could have easily turned to that. If I was drinking, just even a social drink, I would have easily probably gone the other way.
Right.
So I think it's important for people to just know they're not alone, and there's help out there. And I really wanted to share this story with people. And so when they hear the song "The Bottle," it is about addiction, and it's really my story. And and I'm thankful for that journey. To be honest with you, I'm very thankful for the journey, and that I can share it, and I hope I can help others out there.
No, honestly, without even listening to the song, that's really inspiring. It really is, and it takes a lot of guts and bravery to come out and speak about it. And I really look up to you. I honestly do. Um, and just one, with just one conversation. So kudos, honestly, and I'm sure that it's going to help so many people out there who not only suffer from addiction but also just general mental health stuff. So thank you so much for doing that, and it's truly an inspiration. And it must have been very tough to take that decision to actually release it. Um, but that's what kind of we've been given this platform to do good, in my opinion. And
Yes.
I think you're doing that, and I really look up to you for that. So it's amazing. It's very inspiring.
Well, thank you. You're very inspiring yourself, and I really look up to you, and I appreciate everything that you've been sharing, because a lot of your emotions, it's like I feel what you're feeling and how you've been feeling, and it feels good to feel like we're not alone. And I
Absolutely.
think that's the biggest thing, is to feel like you're not alone, and when you're dealing with something. And this platform is really going to help people that are maybe feeling alone right now. to know, you know what, you're not alone. There's so many people feeling this way.
Absolutely. Uh, everyone is going through something, with or without pandemic. I mean, the pandemic has, of course, made everything that much more, brought up things that we haven't dealt with because we have more time and stuff like that. We can't, be busy and, but everyone is dealing with something, like you said. For everyone watching and listening, you're not alone at all. You can
No,
reach
you're
out to
not.
me, you can reach out to Kimberly. Honestly, we're here for you. And yeah, really, everyone has their own demons. But on a positive, I truly think that my biggest realizations just about life and about what I want to do, my purpose, getting perspective, has really come from tough times. I think today, sitting here, I can truly say that I'm a better human being than I ever was. I'm surely more compassionate. I'm surely more understanding. And if nothing else, I think I've become more compassionate towards myself. I think self-love is a very complicated and a long journey. I'm somewhere on the path of it. I don't know where I am, but I'm somewhere on it. Uh, and but I really think that, funnily, through these tough times, we truly, have these amazing premonitions. I don't know whether that's too big a word, but these realizations on what we truly want. And I think that's beautiful. One more thing that's really a big thing that I've learned is, I have a little rescue. His name is Bean. I don't know where he's at right now,
Love it.
but I mean, he's very therapeutic. I think pets are very therapeutic anyway. But I just look at him sometimes, and, well, not sometimes, very often, and he's just he's just curious, and he's just in the present moment, and all he really wants are those small things that make him happy, and all he really wants is to give love, and get on. It's just unconditional love all over. And I just look at him and I'm like, he's just so content with just being in the present moment. And I'm beginning to practice that, where I'm just really focusing on just being present right now with you in this conversation, for example. And being in the present moment has been a huge present for me. It's been a gift, and I've learned that from my baby puppy. So I think it's really cool how I should probably write a song on that, right? I think it will be
Yeah,
good. Um, so I think a lot of observations and learnings and realizations have come to me, and I'm sure to you as well, through this stuff, Dan.
that's beautiful. Yes, animals are so therapeutic. We have
Absolutely.
three, and I just,
Yeah.
you know, it's like your dogs love on you no matter what. They just love
Well,
us unconditionally, and it's such a beautiful thing. Pets are very healing, very therapeutic.
very,
So I
very.
love that you have your puppy. They're a
Yeah.
lot of work. Keep you
Yeah.
busy.
It's like having a baby without baby speaking or talking or really knowing what's going on. So, uh, it's it's extremely cute. Um, what else have you been doing
I,
to actively? Sorry, no, I didn't mean to cut you off.
no, no, I didn't mean. I was just going to ask if you had anything like tools that you're using right now to help you.
I was just gonna ask you the same thing. So,
We're on the same
so,
page.
um, I think, trying to get at least 8 hours of sleep, uh, that has been very essential. Uh, my because I was writing my album, and I'm working with so many different creatives, and we tend to work better at night, which I think, again, could be a myth. I think it's very, very personal and dependent. I've been working from about 4 p.m. to 4 a.m. So I I'm trying to the last month, that's been my routine. So I make sure that I sleep 5 a.m. to 2 p.m. at least, um, which I'm not suggesting is a good thing, but at least I'm getting my 8 hours of sleep. Um, so that has personally helped me. I'm trying to get back into waking up early and, kind of, thinking I'm going to study my album now and it's on, going to get released soon. So getting enough sleep has been very important for me. Meditation has been very important for me. Exercise has been really important for me. So even if it's just walking out for 15 minutes, it just really helps. Being
Yeah.
in nature helps me naturally. I don't know whether it's, I think it's scientifically proven as well, but it's just, I don't know what it is. It really, really adjusts me, it grounds me. Uh, so in Nashville, I kind of moved near Gallatin, um, and I was near the river, so it was nice to be there, very beautiful. That helped me a lot. And then, staying connected with family and friends, even when I just want to shut down and the world feels really overwhelmed. And music, really. Um, I think that's pretty much eating healthy as much as I can, even when I'm in studio, trying not to have too much junk. Uh, yeah. What about you?
You know what? Well, definitely, like you said, music. Writing and stuff has been very helpful with. It's always that's kind of like obviously my go to, but really a lot of meditation and prayer. I mean, on a daily, I do that every morning. I have like diffusers going in my house with essential oils in there. It just kind of helps to calm me. And being able to have that support from my family and friends. I think I also learned this year who my circle of people are, who my people really are. And it's okay to have it small. It doesn't need to be a ton of people. I think sometimes the smaller the better anyway. But it's good to be able to have that support from those friends and family, and so that's been my. I think those have been my go-to.
I think you mentioned earlier as well that now, especially, I'm in LA currently, so I'm going to speak from the point of view of this location,
Yeah.
because I know in other parts of the world, especially back home in India, it's still really, really, really bad. But speaking from where I'm right now, things are opening up again, and it's amazing, but it's also really strange because we've lived in a completely different kind of environment with this pandemic for more than it's been almost a year and a half. So with vaccines coming in, touch wood, thank the Lord, it's going back to normal and suffering is decreasing at least here. How are you dealing with that? Because I remember the first time I walked into a restaurant after ages, and there were actually people around me. I was a little bit anxious. I was like, oh my God, like, are there people around me? Like, there's energy. I'm feeling energy. I haven't felt. I've been all by myself with my best friend, and I need to get used to feeling other people's energies again and interacting with people and actually being sociable again. I don't know whether I even know how to do that anymore. Um, so I still very vividly remember that first moment where I walked back into an area where there were people around me. Uh, so have you kind of, how are you dealing with that? Do you think it's been a very easy transition for you? Where are you with that process of getting back to how the world kind of used to be?
So I'm in the same boat as you. It was very when I first walked into a restaurant for the first time, being able to do it, it was like weird. And honestly, when they first kind of opened up and they were letting people go, I was still nervous to go. So I kind of still held off a little bit, and then I remember going and still kind of feeling this awkwardness, I guess.
Yeah,
Because now you're around people, and I want it to be back to normal.
yeah.
I'm used to wanting to hug people, and now we can actually hug, which I'm so thankful for. That was really hard for me not being able to hug
I'm
people.
a big hugger, so I totally get that. I
Me
totally get that.
too.
I actually have a tattoo. I've got an ink of two teddy bears hugging each other because I really think a hug sometimes is just what you need to change your day around. So I totally feel you where that's concerned. Would you have any tips for other people who, just, getting back into normal life almost?
Yeah, I do, because I think,
Yeah.
you're going to see different people that are jumping right back in and they're just fine going back in. And then you have other people that are still like unsure and feeling uncomfortable, feel your emotions and just take it one day at a time. Because I'm even like that. It's one day at a time. One day I may not be feeling great and I may be supposed to go meet someone for lunch and maybe I'm just not feeling it. I've learned to trust my gut and how I'm feeling and not go. Give myself the grace. So give yourself the grace to understand how you're feeling and go with that. Like I said, I think some people are jumping back in and they feel fine, and others, they're just taking it a little bit slower, and that's okay. And
Yeah,
don't feel bad about that.
absolutely. I think that's great advice. And I completely agree with you, take things at your own pace. We all have different ways of dealing with things. And
Also, finding, you know what I was going to say, I'm sorry to cut you off.
no, totally.
Finding things that, make you feel good. Maybe it's just going on a walk,
Ex-
being out in nature. Any little thing that gets you back to feeling a happy emotion, I think is really important. And like I said, it could be the littlest thing. Maybe it's going out in your backyard and playing with your dog.
Totally.
Maybe it's just going on a walk by yourself by the water, by the ocean. Whatever it is that makes you feel good, just something little to kind of acclimate you back into life right now and finding those like happy moments.
It's so cool you say that because I was writing recently. It was a song, and uh, I was thinking, what are the moments if I close my eyes and I think what are the couple of moments where I actually felt alive, where there was no, I didn't feel a burden on my chest or my shoulders, and I actually felt free and alive. And a couple of things that came to my mind was, driving my little Mini Cooper, late night on the street, the Bombay streets. And so just moments like that where you actually, with banging loud music. So I think we really all need more moments like that in our lives. And I think, if anything, I've personally learned that it's so important to not get very caught up in the little things, even though, of course, that's human as well. But to sort of, look at the bigger picture and just know that at the end of the day, we're just such small specks in a huge universe. And that kind of gives me weirdly a relief, feeling like I'm not that important at all. I'm not saying that in a negative way. I'm not saying that in from a self-love way. I'm almost saying like I've stopped taking myself so seriously, and it's really helped me to let go, to surrender, to take life a little bit more as it comes. I'm not saying I've not been planning or having a routine, but letting go a little bit has really helped me achieve things faster. In fact, it's helped me be kinder to myself, and I think it's overall just helped me be a happier person.
That's good. I agree with you on the letting go. When you can let go, because we cannot control everything. And I
Totally.
think once you learn that lesson that you are not in control of everything, I mean, certain things, obviously, that's, certain things, but in general, we're not. And when you let it go and just trust in the process, I've learned that it actually ends up being better than what I planned it to be.
Absolutely. I think the universe knows what's best for us. God knows what's best for us. Everyone has their own faith, belief. Some people don't, and that's amazing as well. But there's always a plan out there. That's if something doesn't work out, I always believe that there's something better that's going to happen for me, which I
Absolutely.
can't see right now. Um, so
Absolutely.
yeah, it's been amazing chatting with you, Kimberly. It really has. I'm gonna catch your single tonight for sure. Uh, and
Excited for
you
your
have
album coming out. I'm so excited for you.
really appreciate that. And it's truly been very inspiring to talk with you. And a big thank you to NAMI for connecting us for this conversation. And I hope people out there know that they're genuinely not alone. And no matter what it may seem like on social media or in pictures, there's always more to it. Everyone has their own demons. Everyone is struggling. We all are suffering in some way. And love and kindness is, we need to come together right now more than anything to get over this time.
Absolutely, because you know what? At the end of the day, we are all in this together, this entire universe. We really are all in this together, and we should just support each other. And again, like you said, Thank you, Nami, for connecting us because you've inspired me so much today. You're just a beautiful soul inside and out. And I
I,
thank you for sharing your story and everything. And um, you guys are not alone. Like I said, we're all in this together.
absolutely. And yeah, never be ashamed to feel what you're feeling from my own experience, because everything is relative. Never belittle your own emotions. Yeah, and it's okay to it's okay to not be okay.
It's okay to not be
Yeah.
okay. I love that. And that's so true.
Uh, so yeah, that's pretty much everything that I have learned during this crazy time.